Okay, so we are recording. Hey everyone, this is Michelle Oliver, and I am so happy to be here today with Yaakov Berman. And he is a financial services professional based in New Jersey, correct?
Correct.
And here we are, like deep in the heart of the holiday season of the unforgettable 2020. So
Right.
thank you so much for taking the time to just talk with me a little bit today. The idea is to help everybody get to know you a little bit, and I'll get to know you better. So please tell me, what is it like to be a financial services professional in the year 2020? How has this impacted your business and the clients and people that you know?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for talking to me, Michelle. Yeah, 2020 has definitely been an interesting year. It gets, people thinking very differently. One thing that, all the assumptions that we've had, all the anything that we thought was just for granted has been upended. So that's really gotten a lot of people thinking about their finances in general, and also about getting proper protection, whether it's life insurance, disability insurance. I mean, I've heard numbers that disability insurance sales has gone up 20%. I haven't seen that in my practice, but I've definitely seen a stronger interest in life insurance, but in planning in general. I mean, there's people are there's tax implications that clients have a lot of questions with, PPP specifically, which until today, people weren't sure if PPP expenses will be deducted. Today this bill seems to be passing where the expenses will be deducted, and that's that tremendously impacts people's tax planning. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot that's unique to 2020.
Well, it's an ever-changing landscape for sure on every level. And I think there's a lot of concern and fear, especially with small businesses. And I mean, really, no one has been able to avoid being impacted by everything financially in some way or another. I know some people have benefited. If you're
Right.
in the right business and you're booming, then that's amazing. But maybe are there a number of kind of basic concerns that you've seen? Obviously, with small businesses, that might be a really good place to start.
Right. I mean, yeah, I mean, small businesses have been really, really impacted. One client in particular that I've worked with over this year was a specialist. I mean, he's a dental implant surgeon. So, that's an elective surgery. I mean, this is somebody who was making a tremendous amount of money, and he's been really, really impacted. Yes, I mean, definitely, small businesses really need to start looking at something like this and, being prepared for it.
And so I'm curious what you see in terms of preparedness. Obviously, the clients that you work with, you're educating them, and they're probably more prepared than some of the other
Right.
population. But
Right.
what would you recommend, like right now, for small businesses and really any American? Like, what do we need to really be focusing on and taking a look at? Would it be the, long term? I mean, all of us are also thinking about, like, we never thought something like this could happen. And then there's illness that comes up. So you start thinking about long-term impacts and maybe
Right.
areas of insurance that you didn't really think about before. And what if my business goes away? And, there's so many concerns. So
Right. I
what,
mean,
yeah.
so obviously a couple of things that jump out is liquidity. It's very, very important, to have liquid assets that could, help you, get through something like this. If your business is shut down, if, you're gonna have a tough time making a payroll or, paying vendors, whatever it is, it's very important to have that emergency fund. Maybe, put more towards it than what you originally thought. The other thing is business succession planning. I mean, we've seen, people come and go, the business owners who've lost partners, and it's very important to have that succession planning in place. Make sure they have the right documents, make sure the right sign, make sure there's the funding for them. Yeah, all these things are definitely, things that we've seen in 2020.
Yeah. So you're helping people. Let me ask you a couple questions. Actually, there's so many going through my mind right now, but as a business owner or just as an individual, um, how do you work with people? So I'm sure that many people have a lot of questions. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of uncertainty. Do you do like an initial consult with an individual, or how does your business work in that regard?
Yeah, so in general, we sit down with a client, and we go through. We ask a lot of questions about their business. How long have they been in business? How are they structured? How many employees do they have? What's concerning to them. And generally through the conversations, we try to find the right opportunities where we could help the client be better positioned, whether through its the tax strategy or through just like I mentioned, succession planning, any other types of strategies that would help them be in a better position.
Okay. So do you work specifically within a certain niche, or you can help any type of person or any type of business? Are there certain areas that you tend to focus on?
So I mean, I've been pretty open. I mean, over the last year, I've been working with a number of people in the medical field or attorneys. So that's really where it's been going. But I have the ability, to work with anybody really.
So anybody could just call you and schedule a consult with you or message you and ask you questions or
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because I work with a number of different partners. So, if my area of expertise is not necessarily there, I will definitely find the right people to be able to help them. And, I'll be involved in the process, and they'll have my knowledge, my expertise, sort of guiding through the process. But, I'm definitely able to help anybody.
Okay. And so is that how primary financial comes into this? This is how is primary financial different than some of the other organizations that focus in this industry?
Um, for me, really, primary financial is just about the back end support. I mean, I have an incredible, back end support. In any situation, I've literally been in a meeting where in the meeting itself, I felt like this was too much for me. Um, I'll very, discreetly email, could somebody, come help? And like literally within minutes, they'll be in the meeting, they'll be on the call. They are very helpful at, help, getting me the resources where it's beyond my capacity.
So it's almost like a network or partnership that you have with people that can address or that are used to working in specialized niches so that
Yeah,
you can basically cover any. That's amazing.
exactly.
That's
Great.
actually, be the ability to connect with information to meet any client's needs. I think that is a tremendous asset. That's a very important thing. Have you
Yeah.
been with them for a long time?
So I'm finishing my second year, maybe a little bit more than a second year with them. I've had a relationship with them for longer. I've been other places before, but I mean, I find it incredible. I haven't seen that type of support.
Hmm. So what is what would you recommend everybody be doing right now? I mean, it seems to me like, and I know, and I mean, I have a marketing agency. In marketing, it's all about pivoting and strategy and, where you stay consistent and where you make changes. So is that, I would think that there's a lot of strategic planning and thinking going on right now
Sure.
that would be an area that you could really help with. Am
Right.
I on target there or?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I would say that anybody who has a business, or even for your personal, should be working with an advisor. I mean, things change. I literally had a meeting this morning with a client who, he had spoken with the CPA about a week ago, and the CPA, the CPA offered, four different scenarios, how for his taxes, and it literally just all changed this morning with this new bill that's being introduced, and we were able to, you know, uh, we were able to pivot off of the plan that was in place already. So it's important, for him, it was very valuable to have somebody who would understand the impact of all the changes and how that would affect him. And it's there's not much time left. We have to have something going. So it's a tremendous value for him to be able to work with people who understand all the implications of all the changes, and how he could be best positioned.
Yeah, I love that. This is the time of year people should really be contacting you now to talk
Right.
with you. I mean, okay, so I have to ask you about, we'll come back to some other things, but I have to ask you about Catch My Drift, hashtag Catch My
Yeah.
Drift. Can you tell me about that? What is that?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so Catch My Drift started when I was working somewhere else, and due to the nature of the industry, there was more compliance restrictions, and I was not able to post, ways that I could help people. That was part of the rules over there, is that you weren't able to post um, any product or strategy that you could offer somebody. So it was sort of start off like sort of a pent up frustration. It was a way of expressing that I really want to say more. So that was the idea of Catch My Drift. There's a hidden meaning, but it's really come to follow my journey. I have I built up quite a following on LinkedIn, which is why it's there, and it's just and people identify me with Catch My Drift. I'll meet people in a supermarket or in a social gathering, and they'll come over to me and say, "Hey, Catch My Drift."
That's great. I love that. Well, as a marketer, you know how much I love that. We love hashtags, right? And
Sure.
LinkedIn is such a tremendous opportunity for people to connect with you. I mean, that's how we met initially. And you know so many people, and this would be a wonderful way for people to just shoot you a message, because you can answer their questions there or jump on a call if it's appropriate. I mean, it seems to me from just the short time that we've been engaged, you obviously know a lot about the industry, you know a lot about a lot of different aspects of it. And this is probably a time where people are just wanting to reach out and say, hey, help me, give me some more information about how I can work with you, or where I can go from this crazy position that I'm in. Are you finding a lot of people just reaching out casually like that, or how is that working for you now?
There are people who reach out casually, but it's usually more of developing a relationship. So people who I'll engage with, and eventually, they'll refer somebody to me, or they'll ask me a question.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so the questions that, I mean, I have so many personal questions I want to ask you now. I work with so many small businesses, and I don't know if that's an area that you spend a lot of time working with. So maybe you could answer that first. Are small businesses a primary focus?
Yeah, sure. Small business is a great opportunity for me. I mean, you're dealing with, people who are, usually good at what they do, but they're not necessarily focused on the financial aspect. So yeah, we're definitely in a great position to help people like that.
Yeah, so I'm going to just do a little shout out here and encourage everybody who has questions to message you, because I agree 100%. Most of the small business owners I know they're stressed for sure. And I'm talking with them about their marketing, and their finances are a huge issue right now, and insurance, and interacting with leases and landlords and employees. I mean, everybody has so much on their plate right now. It's just insane.
Right.
So to have professional advisors that can kind of lead you navigating through this, whatever you want to call this, these challenges, these challenging times that we're in, that's a really, really helpful service. I do have another question for you about the restrictions, because I know that from a marketing standpoint, whenever I've worked with the financial industry, there's so few things you can do.
Right.
But you're sharing a lot of valuable content. So people can come to your profile and just read your your news feed, and you've got articles and information on there, and you're just so accessible and easy to talk to. They can message you. But how are you mostly connecting with people then? You're meeting them on LinkedIn and talking with them?
Yes, I meet people on LinkedIn, and then like I mentioned, I try to build up the relations that way, and eventually try to veer the connection offline. Either to get on a phone call with them or a Zoom call with them, and the more once you get offline, it's definitely a more personal connection.
And it's so easy to do now. It's
Right.
so easy. You can just basically message Yaakov and say, let's jump on a Zoom call and let's ask a few questions. And I'm sure you have to be very cautious with your time in that way, as we all do, but it's also a wonderful way to connect right now and learn and have a better understanding of what our options are. So what do you have that you would like all of us to know? Like, what do you recommend? And maybe not just as a small business owner, but as any kind of person going through this craziness. Like, what about insurance?
Yes, and being properly insured is really important. I mean, a lot of people I talk to, they likely have some type of insurance they bought at some time. An incredible amount of people really don't know how much they have. They don't know how long their coverage is lasting for, and they really know it's just in their mind if the box was checked. But you're paying the money for a reason, and you want to make sure that if it's needed, then it really takes care of your family, because in a way, being underinsured is doing more of a disservice than a service.
Yeah.
So it's
So
really important to have it, have your insurance reviewed and understand what you're covered for.
yeah. So a lot of this is awareness. This pandemic, I think, is bringing a lot of us to our knees in one way or another. And it's a wake up call, right?
Right.
And time for an audit in a lot of different areas of life. So this is a hugely significantly important area, obviously.
Sure.
And do you call it like, so if I like come to you, do you start, this is what I do with a lot of people. Like, I'm like, well, let's do an audit. I mean, you just want to
Right.
see like, where do you stand right now, so that
Right.
we can come up with some type of strategy that makes sense for you.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So that's really the idea, is just to sit down with the client and get as much pertinent information from them, and then based on that, that puts us in the best position to help to help them in the most meaningful way.
Yeah, I love that. So Yaakov, so we can know you a little bit more personally. How did you wind up in this particular area of work?
It's a great question. I mean, I guess the answer that I tell people is it's really something that I've always felt passionate about, that people should be um, financially prepared for the future. Whether it's addressing certain costs that are going to come up. Whether it's putting away money for your kids' college, for retirement. In our community, people save up money for their kids' weddings. And being protected, obviously. So these are all ways that people prepare themselves for big financial hurdles, and this is something that I always felt passionately about. And when the opportunity came, that this is what I wanted to be able to help people with.
Hmm. Well, I have to mention how many amazing kids you have, because you're going to have some weddings in the future, right?
Yes,
You-
I started young.
you're- yeah.
Yeah, I have two daughters. They're now 14 and 15, but we've been putting away for them over the years, on a regular basis, and that's just something that I want, to help other people do as well.
Yeah. Weddings are ridiculously expensive,
Oh yeah,
everyone. Yes, and so is school, and so is, I mean, that's the thing. I think that that's just human nature, right? We don't, without planning, and especially like in business, I see this constantly, because people think there is a certain element in business where you just really have to say, okay, I'm just in, right? You
Right.
just make the decision and you say, I'm all in.
Right.
But very rarely does anyone have any idea what that means.
Right.
And I think that's true in every area of life. In business, we wind up, when I talk to people about marketing, they're like, what is a marketing budget? Like, I mean, I'm exaggerating, but no one really has any idea what the next thing is going to be. And then we get hit with this, like this pandemic, apologize, and it's a whole nother ball game, right? All the rules have changed, the game has changed. You have money coming in here, but it has to go out there. And yeah, a lot of new deadlines and requirements and everything. So it sounds like you can do some kind of general business advising in this area too. That would be tremendously beneficial for anyone with a business right now.
Sure. Sure. Definitely.
Do you have any stories that you'd like to share with us about what you've seen and how you came in and were able to help? Or most of that is all very private. So
I mean, a lot of it's private, I mean, I don't usually, like, especially the more the more I work with people from LinkedIn, I get nervous saying anything,
yeah,
because even if I'm not talking about somebody, if somebody thinks I'm talking about them, then that's already, but yeah, but I definitely have been able to help, a number of people. I will say one thing that I've found that I've been successful at, that I'm proud of, is helping a lot of people, when it comes to life insurance. Obviously, it's that you have to be eligible for life insurance. And over the years, I found that I've been successful getting people approved where others have not been able to, or even, or are better than other people have been able to come up. Somebody who's working with, had been working with somebody else, and they weren't satisfied with what was being offered there. I think it really just comes from, understanding the underwriting process, and really just working it through, and doing it in a way that's the most advantageous for the client.
yeah, doing everything in a way that's most advantageous for the client, for sure. And I love that you said that. And I'm sure everybody greatly appreciates your commitment to client confidentiality. That's
Right.
a huge thing. And also with insurance, that's really interesting. So everybody, if you have any questions, you might want to just reach out and talk with Yaakov. Um, I think in every industry, it's really that way, right? It's like, how deep are you willing to go?
Right.
How tenacious are you? And again, it sounds like you have this network behind you that if there's any question or concern about anything, you can bring in almost like specialists
Right.
to help you in any given area. So it sounds like you have the best of all worlds.
Mhm.
And if there's anything else you can think of, there are questions I want to ask, but then none of them, there's so many privacy things that I can't really ask those questions, I guess. So the
Right.
idea is really, Yaakov is an amazing, wonderful, and fun person. And he has a lot of, I mean, I know that that's not what we're really looking for in insurance, is like how fun you are, but it's
Right.
really nice to enjoy conversations with the people that you're doing business with.
Sure.
And you are that person. So I hope that, I just like to encourage everyone who has questions to reach out to you and let you go down that road with them.
Okay. Thank you very much, Michelle. I really
Thank
appreciate that.
you. Yeah, do you want to give like a website or a contact information or something for those people that might see this who are
Yeah.
not on LinkedIn? You have a,
Absolutely. So, I mean, shoot, you could view my LinkedIn profile, obviously. Yaakov Berman, YAKOV BERMAN, or shoot me an email at yberman@primaryfinancial.net. And I even have it, if I move out of the way, It's behind me.
I know you're right in front of that. So,
Right in front of
and
it.
then if anybody sees this on any of my social platforms, you can also reach out to me and I will connect you very gladly
Oh,
with them. And I'm sure it will be valuable conversation.
that would be wonderful.
Yeah. Well, thank you. This was very short, but very informative. And I really appreciate you taking the time. And I hope the rest of the holiday season is fabulous. I know it will be for you because you've got a bunch of little ones that make it really fun. And
Right.
again, thank you for your time, Yaakov.
Okay, thank you as well, Michelle. Happy holidays to you.
Yes, thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.